Good afternoon. It is another lovely day in the Treasure Valley of Idaho. It's once again going to be 80 degrees here in the first week, at the end of the first week of October. It's a little unseasonably warm, but don't worry, I'm sure it'll all even out. You don't need to go rushing to pass cap and trade or carbon taxes or other laws that give more power to the government in the name of changing our climate. Just enjoy the weather, and we'll be missing it in a few more weeks when it's bitter cold again. I just came over from the Eagle Harvest Festival just up the road from my office here. It's a wonderful time. There's free pumpkins and decorating stickers for the children. There's all sorts of vendors and booths. We caught the very last trolley ride through the city. It was a lot of fun. It's still going on for a little while longer, so go check it out. And after I'm done with this quick stream, I'm going to walk across the street to the Eagle Public Library. It's day 2 of the Friends of the Library book sale. I went there yesterday. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you saw my haul. They give you a shopping bag, just a little plastic bag, and as many books as you can fit in there, you can have it for $5. And I happen to have a $5 bill in my wallet. I don't usually carry cash. So it worked out perfectly. I got to the biographies table and I got no further. I found the autobiography of Lee Iacocca, the autobiography of Barry Goldwater, a biography of Richard Nixon, and then another of Pat Nixon by her daughter, Julie Nixon Eisenhower. Found a couple more, a copy of Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. I've read that one on Kindle, but I thought it would be fun to have it in hardcover. Trump's Art of the Deal. Again, I have it on Kindle, but it's great to have these in hardcover as well. For one thing, you never know what's going to happen if they might someday delete these things from the internet. Secondly, it's just nice to have books. Behind me is just a small collection of my library. I think it's important to keep these things for your children, for your children's children. They contain knowledge. And they contain the perspectives of people at their time. It's one thing to read, say, a history of the Civil War, for example, that's written today based on various sources. It's another thing to read that same history from somebody who experienced it. And, it might not be fully accurate. I mean, I understand that Winston Churchill's history of World War II is written in such a way as to present himself in the best possible light. However, with that caveat in mind, there is something immensely valuable about reading contemporary sources. In any case, like I said, after this, I'm going to run over there and get another bag of books, and my children will have a chance to fill up their own bags. So yeah, that's really exciting. Speaking of the library, I mentioned in my post earlier this week describing the hit piece that the Channel 7 News did and the backlash, such as it is, to my appointment to the library, that I had filed a public records request with the City of Eagle. I was curious after Council President Charlie Bond mentioned in the council meeting that they had received some emails about the appointment, and he wanted the mayor to go on record with the procedures that they went through to go through, looking at all the candidates. I was curious ever since then. Okay, what exactly are people saying? I was wondering if they were coordinated in any way. And I still suspect that. So I got the public records request back. Here it is, a stack of submissions to the City of Eagle regarding my appointment. Now, anything you send to a government agency is subject to a public records request. And this is unredacted. So I know the names, phone numbers, email addresses, and physical addresses of the people who were opposed to my appointment. Now, I am not going to say those names. I do believe that each of these people had the right to submit their thoughts on the process. That is their right to free speech. I don't want to come down and dox them and do some sort of chilling effect on that. I don't want people to be afraid to submit their ideas and their opinions to our elected leaders. That's part of living in, a democratic republic. In fact, the First Amendment, to the U.S. Constitution, the part of it that everyone forgets, it has freedom of speech, freedom of religion. freedom of the press. It also has the freedom to petition your government. So I'm not going to say the names, even though I was given these unredacted. Just FYI, I'm not going to say the names. I'm not going to say who they are. I'm just going to share some interesting things that I got out of it. Most of this is discussion back and forth with Brian Holmes of KTVB. Reading the other emails, though, that were submitted to the city, alongside now the correspondence with Brian Holmes, makes me wonder exactly how this was coordinated. Because obviously it was coordinated. My name appeared on the agenda the Friday night before the Tuesday council meeting. So there's 3 or 4 days that people have. If they pay attention, they can go to the city website, see the agenda, and be prepared to make public comment at the upcoming council meeting. That's the way it's supposed to work. Before that Friday agenda came out, very few people knew that the appointment was going through. I knew. I had been informed, but I hadn't made it public until then. And a few, obviously employees in the city knew, the mayor knew, the council knew. So I wonder, is there somebody who both follows me because they disagree with me, they follow my Substack, they read what I write because they want to, well, I guess you could charitably say they want to hold me accountable, but more likely it's hate watching, hate reading. They disagree with me and they're waiting for me to slip up in some way. They're building a dossier so that they can use it against me someday. Someone who does that and also pays attention to the city council agenda postings. So make the Venn diagram of people who do both those things and figure out, okay, who exactly is behind this thing. And I don't want you to get the wrong idea here. I don't have any grudges against these people who submitted their opinions. That's fine. That's part of living in a in a republic. We disagree with each other. We disagree with our elected officials. We have the right to say what we want. And so, really, please take this in the spirit that I'm giving it, in that it's interesting. It's interesting to speculate about exactly what happens behind the scenes. So going through, there were six messages sent to the city. 3 of them were from the same household. 2 from the same person, 1 from someone else with the same name who lived at the same address. And then a 4th was from somebody with the same name, so maybe it was a relative. And they all basically said the same thing. They said that they have concerns about my extreme views, my association with the Idaho Freedom Foundation. See, that's really interesting. I just started writing for the Freedom Foundation just, 2 months ago? So apparently there's a concerned group of citizens out there who are very anti-IFF. And now that I have become associated with them, now I am also a target for this. My paranoid ideology. Those who align with the Freedom Foundation have a tendency to create chaos with their paranoid ideology. Okay. My fear is that the appointment of someone with his biases and associations will bring chaos to our library, which is a valued community resource. So I'm going to bring chaos to the library, apparently. Oppose the appointment of Brian Almon. After research on his blog, I fear he's too extremist and will want to ban books. Strongly oppose. His thought process is full of hyperbole. He tries to make our current library look like a devil's den that's laden with pornography. I actually never said that. I said some general things about the library system, and I said, explained what I saw at the Meridian Library. I've not actually said anything specific about the Eagle Library, because actually, in my opinion, I think the Eagle Library is pretty good. I know that there have been some instances where parents and families have mentioned that they have come across things in the children's section that perhaps shouldn't be there. And as I've said, I'm not going in there with a list of books to ban. I don't know. I want to protect what is great about the library, not go in and find monsters to destroy. But if parents or families come to me in this role with concerns, then I will listen to those concerns. Opposed to the Eagle Library Board, he's associated with the Idaho Freedom Foundation and publicly opposes funding education. Well, that's new. When have I ever said I opposed funding education? I have opposed increases in the funding of education, but as I've said many times, even though my instinct is to say that the public school system is broken, I recognize that it is an important resource for millions of people and millions of families and students, and we need to make it better. I've never said we need to stop all funding altogether, but once again, let's see, it's the strategy of the IFF to infiltrate library boards and school boards to impose their agenda. If the council appoints Mr. Almon, you're telling the public that you support the IFF. In turn, I will not support any of you in the future. Again, this is an IFF thing. This isn't personal to me. This is they found out somebody who has written 3 total articles for the IFF so far, happened to be appointed to a civic position in my community, and they dug up some things to come after me with. So the question remains, who is coordinating this? Who's behind this? I did look up some of the people who did write in just to satisfy my own curiosity. I'm not planning to dox them, not planning to stalk them. I have no interest. I don't know any of these people in real life, and I am not going to seek them out. I was just curious. I actually looked up their political donation history because I was curious. I wanted to see, are these Democrats? Well, of all of them, most of them had no history. So they had not donated politically. One of them has donated to a lot of Republicans, exclusively to Republicans. So I'll give them that. They were the ones I would consider the more establishment Republicans. I guess that goes along with this opposition to the IFF. There's a strain in Idaho politics of people who support, again, who I consider to be establishment Republicans, who are very hostile to the IFF. And that seems to be where this comes from. I think there was one more here I hadn't read yet. Let's see. Opposition to the plan to appoint Brian Almon to the Eagle Public Library Board of Trustees. Having read Mr. Almon's thoughts on public libraries on his blog, I'm deeply concerned that his sole interest in serving on this board is to create chaos. There's that word again, chaos. It's almost like all these people were given the same talking points. I'm associated with the IFF. I create chaos, want to ban books. None of that's true. I mean, well, yes, I'm associated with the IFF, but I don't expect to be causing any chaos, and I'm not intending to ban books. So, personal and strongly held belief is that a great variety of books should be available through the public library, and those who have concerns about children having access to certain books have no business deciding what my child has access to. Okay. Oh, and one of the people who already wrote in again. I absolutely oppose to extremist Brian Almon being appointed to the library board. Please vote no. Again, extremist. That is a buzzword that people who this group of Republicans who are opposed to, basically conservatism. They're opposed to the IFF and things like that. They like to use the word extremist. I've written on Substack about my thoughts on the slur that is extremist and extremism and how it's really not accurate. And it's always interesting that these so-called Republicans who they have more ire and they will fight harder against people to their right, people like the IFF, people like me, than they will against Democrats. When it comes to Democrats, outright socialists, they will reach across the aisle. They are willing to have a conversation, but they're not willing to have a conversation with people on their right. In fact, they want to be gatekeepers on the right. They want to say that anyone further to their right than them is not allowed to be a Republican because they're too extremist. So I just thought that was interesting. I'll be, talking with some folks to see if I can figure out a little more about this because I'm curious as to who's behind all this. I have some suspicions. I have some ideas. I suspect that the person or people who coordinated this little tempest in a teapot are not the ones who actually wrote in. They're too smart for that. They know that anything sent to the city would be available to public records request. And so they got other people to do their dirty work for them. That's my suspicion. And obviously these people have a line to Brian Holmes at KTVB, Channel 7, knowing that he is on the anti-extremist beat. So that's all. That's all I have. Like I said, I'm not going to dox these people. I'm not going to go stalk these people. I'm not going to try and contact these people. They're citizens. They have the right to petition their government to explain their opinion. I will just say that their opinion is wrong. They were given talking points. They were given snippets to to push this this narrative that I'm out there to ban books. It's not true. If they want to have a conversation with me, I'm here. I am public. I'm not, sniping from the shadows. I'm not hiding. You know how to reach me. You can email me through Substack. You can send a comment on this video. Uh, you know, it's very easy to figure out how to contact me, and I am open for a conversation. Let's sit down and have a cup of tea and talk. That sounds like a great idea to me. So it's time to go buy some more books at the library. The book sale is still going on for another hour, so catch it if you can.